make the great deals.
I am going to make great deals for our country.
I mean, what I do is I do deals. I deal.
I negotiate by creating leverage so I can extract a good deal for the United States, for the people.
I make deals. I negotiate. Everybody wants me to negotiate. That's what I'm known as a negotiator.
Well, maybe not on health care, at least not quite yet. President Trump learned this week that not even his larger-than-life personality can move his own party when they are stuck and they're very, very divided, especially when it's an issue like this, where they have made promises over and over again to repeal Obamacare. They've done it for 7 years. Joining me now to talk about this is Democratic Congresswoman Debbie Dingell, former Republican presidential candidate and Senator Rick Santorum, CNN political commentator Bakari Sellers, and Republican Congressman Lee Zeldin. And Republican Congressman, because you are the Republican in the House where all of this fell apart this week, you get to start. I make deals. What happened?
The president worked really hard on trying to build a broader coalition and get additional people towards yes on this proposal he was supporting. I believe he had over half of the conference over to the White House. Yeah. He was making phone calls. The vice president was working on it. His team was working on it. And I think that he's going to learn an awful lot from this experience. I mean, it's...
What should he learn from it?
Well, you know, there's a lot more to do. And as you're talking about tax reform, infrastructure, strengthening our military, taking care of our veterans, going through the appropriations process in a 4-year term, you learn lessons early on. I think maybe he learned from his first executive order related to the travel restriction, where the second one was a better rollout than the first one. You build relationships, you get a better scouting report on. Maybe one member is interested in a tougher approach where someone else maybe doesn't want to be threatened.
I think more than one member. That was the problem. Senator, I was talking to a senior administration official who said it didn't matter what the policy was. They didn't want a deal, they meaning the House Freedom Caucus, and that the White House and the president himself was a captive in an internal House fight. You agree with that?
No, I don't. I mean, it always comes down to policy. I mean, the idea that people are just recalcitrant and don't want to do anything for the sake of not doing anything, that's just not true. I mean, the Freedom Caucus had a vision of what they wanted to do, and they didn't want to keep the federal government in control. I mean, that's really the bottom line. They didn't want the federal government in control.
So you think they were right to torpedo this?
Well, I've said for now a couple of months that the approach should have been a more conservative approach, which was to basically just turn this all over to the states and get the federal government out of the healthcare business. I think that's what really the Freedom Caucus wanted. And I think had the House started there, had Ryan started with a bill that included the study committee and the Freedom Caucus and the conservative bloc, which is your biggest block of votes, then you reach out to the middle to try to move the bill, but at least you've got the folks on board to start. And Paul Ryan took a different approach. He took an approach that no other conservative leader in the House has taken before, which is to start more with the middle to try to appeal to moderates and get a bill that can pass the Senate, and it just didn't work.
So, Congresswoman, from the Democratic side, it is true that the Democrats, they planted their feet and they said, we are not going to be involved in anything that has to do with repealing Obamacare. Now that that ship has sailed, will Democrats work with Republicans on at least fixing the problems that even you acknowledge are there?
I said yesterday, I'll work with anybody to make it better, but I won't support a bad bill. This was a bad bill. This bill ripped.
Yeah, of course you weren't going to support this, but let's look forward.
I think we've got to see what they're willing to talk about. You cannot rip insurance away from people. You cannot force people to pay more and give them less. And at the end, they ripped away concessional services. There are things that we can talk about. We need to do away with the Cadillac tax. We need to do something about prescription drugs, negotiate prices for Part D and Medicare. If you're willing to talk about things that don't hurt American people, we should be willing to sit.
But Bakari, is the Democratic base so fired up and they're demanding that Democrats, like the Congresswoman and all of her colleagues, don't talk to a Republican right now? Is that even going to be possible?
But that's not the demand. I think that is.
A lot of them are.
No,
they don't want any kind of
that may be the
help for
perception. But one thing that we did see, we saw House leadership take a step back, House Democratic leadership take a step back, and we saw the grassroots lead on this movement. You saw congresspersons getting inundated with phone calls, thousands and thousands of phone calls. I actually applaud Congresswoman Dingell for sitting here and saying that she's willing to work with Donald Trump and the Republicans to fix the Affordable Care Act. We all know that premiums are rising, and we need to do something about that. We need to focus on the Republican part of the plan where they were going to invest $100 billion over 9 years to help stabilize the markets. These are things that we can do together. The Democratic base is appreciative for how far Obamacare has gotten us, but they also understand that we have to reform it so we can take it further.
Okay, I want to turn to another event that happened this weekend, kind of only happens in the Trump years. The president sent out a tweet, a promo for his friend on Fox News, Jeanine Pirro, saying, watch the show. Then you turn on the TV, if you did, and here's what Jeanine Pirro said at the beginning of her show.
Paul Ryan needs to step down as Speaker of the House. The reason? He failed to deliver the votes on his health care bill.
Again, Congressman, since you're the Republican in the House here, I want to ask you, and as I do, I just want to say that I am told by a source familiar with the backstory that he didn't know, the president didn't know that she was going to call for him to step down. But the fact is that he told his viewers to watch somebody call for him to go.
The president and Speaker Ryan and the chief of staff, the vice president, I mean, these are really strong relationships that have been building over the course of the days and the weeks since the election. So, for the narrative of trying to divide Republicans between them, that might help. I believe that the president wouldn't know that message would be sent.
And you're still supportive of the speaker.
Not only am I still supportive of the speaker, many members of the Freedom Caucus just voted for him a couple of months ago. And in order to become the Speaker of the House, you have to get the votes on the floor, and what we just saw was almost a unanimous vote just a couple months ago.
Can I just ask? You were in the House as well for many years. What's your take on this? And do you think that the Speaker can still stay in his job and move forward?
Yeah, I mean, I go back to Paul Ryan is still learning, and he tried something different. He tried to do a strategy that had not been tried, in my opinion, successfully before, and he failed at it. But that doesn't mean that he isn't going to learn from that. And it's always better in the House to start with your base, and that's just the bottom line. And I know that
do you think he learned that lesson?
I hope he learned that lesson. You always start with your strength, and then you build from there.
All right, hey, hold that thought. Hold that thought. Sorry, we have to take a quick break.